What's up, AfterBuzzers? We have got an old school monster mash on our hands with the monster Matanza Cueto in one corner, Mil Muertes in the other. So join us as we talk Lucha Underground Season 2, Episode 11, Bird of War.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
There we go. I'm willing to wait so long for Monster Mash. There we go. See, people hate on this era of the Misfits, but I really dig this album. Yeah.
Was this when they were in like WCW or no?
This might have been around that time. This was Jerry Only era Misfits. You know, not quite Danzig, not quite McHale Graves, but you know.
Any relation to Lars Only?
Jerry Only, Lars Only. Oh, there we go. There you go. It just may be. Guys, I'm back. I'm so happy to be back. I was in Texas. Thank you very much, Jimbo.
You were missed.
Thank you. I was doing the Lord's work for AfterBuzz TV. If you want to check out some of my interviews, I got to talk to AJ Styles, Sasha Banks, Apollo Crews. Go check out AfterBuzz TV. We were at Access. It was fun times all around. But most importantly, I'm right back here. We're talking Lucha Underground. My name is Ty Matthews. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Ty Matthews PMA. Joined, as always...
It's me. The Jimbo Slice with 2 E's.
There you go. There you go. I was
Follow me on
wondering
Twitter
where you're
at
going.
the Jimbo Slice THEE. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Oh, I missed this show. We've got so much to cover tonight.
It was a really good episode.
Absolutely. So much happened. I was as I was kind of writing everything down on the whiteboard to kind of structure tonight's episode, I realized a whole lot happened. Usually I think we're used to, 3 matches, maybe 1 or 2 vignettes in between, but we got a lot happening, mainly because the brand new Trios tournament is starting tonight.
Exciting time.
And we still don't know. We don't know exactly, Matt Stryker touched on it on commentary. We don't know exactly what the winner's going to get. We know they're probably going to get a unique opportunity because Dario loves giving those out.
Yeah.
But who knows what that might be.
Exactly. It could be anything. That opportunity could be getting fed to his brother.
Really, that's the opportunity that Bale got, and that didn't really... It was certainly unique. Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely. But speaking of Dario, let's start in the men's room where so much happens in the temple. I mean, that bathroom is magical. That is, just ask Jack Evans. I mean, that is... Shit happens literally in that restroom.
Boo!
We've got... Yes! We've got Vampiro and Dario Cueto. And Dario Cueto, he calls him Ian Hodgkinson, and he goes, "Oh wait, sorry, I forgot you're Vampiro now."
You fabing me, bro?
Yeah, exactly. Dario is so slimy in this segment. It's amazing. But coming off of last week, after what we saw Matanza do to Pentagon Jr., obviously Dario Cueto and Vampiro are not on the greatest of terms. Dario tells him that, we're lucky Pentagon's even alive at this point. But he tells Vampiro that you're valuable. You're basically the voice of Lucha Underground. So I need you out there during the main event. Ostensibly, it seemed like, look, you're going to go out there and you're going to call this and you're going to see exactly what Matanza is capable of because he's going one-on-one with Phoenix for the title in our main event.
Crazy.
Oh, man.
And the whole time, Vamp's just playing with those pills. Debating on what to do with those pills.
Man. We know that those are, I expected it here, but we know eventually those are going down the drain.
Oh, yeah.
We know eventually those are going out the window, and we're seeing the Dark Master come back. And if we end up seeing the Dark Master going one-on-one with Dario, that's going to be awesome.
Who knows that the pills are still in there and they're not just placebos?
It's, yeah.
Like, what if he did it just to make it look like he's taking them, but he's secretly just stewing?
Maybe he replaced them with Altoids.
He's going to have really fresh breath.
It's like, hey, are you taking your meds? Hey, your breath's doing real good, man. Hey, Vamp.
Hey, Ian, you smell real good, man.
It's Vamp. Oh, okay, sure.
I loved how it seemed like Dario was just taunting him.
Oh,
and
of course.
Just trying to push him over that edge to just get him to snap.
Right, exactly. And
then when he doesn't do it, he's just like, okay, I'll leave.
Well, now that Dario knows that he's basically bulletproof with this monster in his back pocket, like before, he was already pushing people's buttons before, but now that he's got this like unkillable like horror film monster of a brother in his pocket, like he can do anything to anyone.
That's so true. He really is just like the bad guy from the horror movies.
Right?
He's just like unstoppable.
I mean, we haven't seen this level of like just complete no selling and just like nothing affecting him since the Undertaker debuted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really nothing really can hurt him except for one thing, but we'll get to that at the end of this episode because it's amazing. Let's get into another storyline that we were talking about.
This video, the next video that comes up with Joey Ryan and them.
Yes.
I loved how it was shot like really cheesy cop style as opposed to like other videos we've seen in Lucha Underground and the way they're shot more dark or gritty or
Right.
like oh, this is how it's supposed to look. Like that was shot like a cheesy cop show from like the 90s to the point where like she's looking at the picture and she turns and she like pins it up on the board. I was like, this is so great.
It's
like,
amazing. It's amazing. And just the delivery of every line in this from Officer Reyes and Officer Meehan, we find out that Joey is actually Officer Meehan
That's great.
in his line of police work. Their boss is you know, she's thrilled that Dario is back. They admit that they didn't really have anything to do with that. He just sort of showed up and had his crazy man-eating brother with him, which is cool, I guess. But we also, you know, she pushes for more. She wants real evidence. She wants to build a case against Dario Cueto because who knows how many illegal things that guy's done over the course of his time as proprietor of this temple.
Do you think she's a wrestler too? Or do you think she is like an actress? Because I was looking
think
at
she's
her
an
and I'm
actress.
like, I think she's an actress because I think
so.
I've seen her in other things, but I was wondering like, I wonder if it's like Glow style where they're like took actresses and they're like, hey, you want to train to wrestle? We'll put you in the ring too.
I mean,
like,
really, with this at this point, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Who even knows of this show?
maybe she's a time traveler also.
You never know. She could be back from a millennia in the future. Who knows? Trying to unite some tribes.
Maybe she's from the 70s.
There you go. There you go.
She's a Charlie's Angel.
It did seem like the music playing in this was like a different take on Joey Ryan's theme. The music that they used for Joey Ryan's theme, it seemed like this was kind of an alteration of that same melody. I don't know if I'm reading too much into the music of this, but I like it.
He's such like the sleazy cop too. Like even with the lollipop and everything, he's just so like meant to be this guy. Like
Right.
It fits perfect.
And I do love the, you know, speaking of the kind of the cheesy delivery, she says, I don't care if you guys need to tag team this case. And Joey's like, well,
Speaking of tag team,
funny you say that. It turns out Officer Meehan ran into Dario Cueto, and Dario was so impressed that he put him into this brand new trios tournament so that it's Joey Ryan, Cortez Castro, and Mr. Cisco.
the crew.
I think one of my favorite moments of this episode is Reyes just so mad going, it's Mr. Cisco. Like, what?
I thought you were gonna say later on during the match when Vampiro called like Cortez Castro like they were two different people.
Cortez and
like,
Castro?
He's like, no, that's the same person.
Oh, it was my favorite. No, my favorite was Joey saying, I'm going to be teaming with you and Cisco. And he says, it's Mr. Cisco. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
A fellow chucker, eh?
I didn't realize Mr. Cisco was such a formal boy. So basically, they're under brand new orders to win those trios titles to get even closer to Dario Cueto. We go back to the temple. We're back to having live bands, which is cool.
And they all had lucha masks and stuff.
We've got
They're pretty badass.
El Conjunto Nueva Ola, which is the band playing tonight. We had Chingon last week, starring Robert Rodriguez himself, which was awesome. But for our opening contest, we've got Ivelisse taking on Cobra Moon. I love that it's like having two women facing off one-on-one is uncommon in the temple. Like you don't really see it that often.
Yeah, especially when one's like a trios champion.
Right, exactly. But it was cool. This was an interesting style of match. There was a lot more counter wrestling than I think you're used to seeing in most of the women's matches that you see on TV. There were a lot of hold for hold because I think that fits both of these wrestlers' characters Cobra Moon is she really lives up to that gimmick. She's constantly slithering and hissing, and she's a snake, guys. I don't know if you know.
Snake.
She's a sneaky
I'm
snake.
a snake.
She's a sneaky snake, guys.
You being a wrestler,
Yes.
like I'll always hear people talk about, oh, your opening match, it should be built like this and not take away from the main event. This, I think, was like the prime example of that. They started slow. They did chain wrestling. They did like a bunch of cool hold for hold things,
Right,
and then
right.
into submissions and like building to strikes and building to moves, and like everything they did counted.
Exactly.
And I love that. I think my favorite part was like Cobra Moon hits like a butterfly suplex, rolls it into a submission, and then somehow Ivelisse like rolls out of that, hits a Northern Lights suplex, and then rolls into a submission. So
Yeah.
it was like, I can go toe to toe with you. Like,
Exactly.
we're evenly matched, and it was just a great match. Like everything they did was so solid.
Yeah, everything was so fluid, transitioning one move into the other. Yeah, like you said, the butterfly suplex right into that butterfly lock was such a beautiful transition. And it's interesting that you bring that up because there are kind of competing schools of thought where on the one hand you do have that old school mentality of the show should be like a match itself. The main event is ostensibly the high spot or the climax, so everything should be building up in service of that. Whereas on the other hand, a lot of places are kind of adopting this new philosophy of every match should be trying to steal the show. If you're only going to get a higher spot on the card if you go out and take it for yourself. And both philosophies work for depending on the type of crowd that they're occurring in front of. But I think you're absolutely right. I think with Lucha Underground we definitely get the sense of it's not like they're holding back. It's just that they're kind of they're not going off of ladders through tables in the opener.
Yeah.
We're still getting solid wrestling, but it's in service of the show.
And that can happen in the opener. It's just like in this episode, it didn't make sense.
Right,
Like
right,
it made
right.
sense to do this, and it was great. They were so good. Even like her gear, like they mentioned like her pants, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of like the same gear she always wears.
Right.
But like it just looks so much better
Right.
tonight for some reason.
Vampiro did have a weird call where he said she looks like a knife.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite sure. I was like, I guess she's shiny, maybe.
It just reminded me of like in the movie The Toy with Richard Pryor when they walk into the piranha thing and they walk out and he's got like all the holes in his pants, like her pants. That's what I just kept thinking. I was like, did she get attacked by piranha?
I was
coming in here?
not expecting a toy reference when I walked into the studio today.
Me, the Jack Brown doll.
Oh, so good.
Ken Jimbo's the toy man.
I know, I love it. But what was it? Ivelisse hits the gory bomb, right? The gory special into like the gory bomb. She does a nice like strike combo, like kick punch, and then hits the Yoshi Tonic, or
Yeah.
he called it the Code Red. He's
Code
like
Red,
whatever
right.
you want to call
Whatever
it.
you wanna call it.
Like flipping sunset flip.
Exactly.
It was great.
And it was-
she beats Cobra Moon first time she's been beat.
Yeah, and I love that. The Yoshi Tonic looked a little bit different than it usually does. You're used to seeing it super high impact, but I actually really liked the way it came off. It may have been accidental, it may have been on purpose, but it was a little bit slower.
Looked like
but
a
I think
leapfrog. Like, oh, she was gonna leapfrog her. No, she countered into like a pin.
exactly, yeah, and it seemed like it was a little bit more impactful than I think it sometimes is. So I think that really worked for them.
Definitely.
But yeah, like you said, Cobra Moon had been on a streak. She'd been, racking up these wins, but it makes sense for Ivelisse, who's, really being one of the trios champions is kind of the top female in the company right now.
She's the baddest bitch in the temple.
And there's also that. So, so she takes her out. We go to this next segment, which is, Mark and I were talking about this before we went on the air. The fact that we got such a glimpse into the history of this Killshot character was absolutely such a welcome surprise. Killshot has been one of my favorite competitors since he debuted in Lucha Underground, but I think getting a sense of why he's called that and where this all came from. We basically get the story that he was a sniper in the military, 37 confirmed kills. They were all bad guys, or so he was told.
I love that.
I love that,
Or
yeah.
so I was told.
So it was told, yeah. So he's, there's this kind of emotional depth and this complexity there where he's struggling with his conscience and he's fighting himself over whether these kills were justified or not. So he comes to the temple and he fights to forget because he can't forget.
I'm fighting a different kind of war now.
Yeah,
Hello,
exactly.
darkness, my old.
You know that song is back on the charts now, thanks to Ben Affleck.
Thanks, Ben Affleck. You'd figure it'd be suicide is painless.
Oh man,
Fucking mash on the Lucha Underground after show.
I like it. And I mean, we're right there in a military segment right here. But you know, we get an explanation for the name. You know, that was his nickname as a sniper. We get the explanation even for him wearing a mask. The fact that he feels like he has no identity and no face anymore. There's so many layers to this segment that was only a couple minutes long.
It was really good.
What were your thoughts on this?
I thought it was great, and how he was just like, oh, as part of an elite squad, we were captured. I don't know if my brother survived. And it shows him like taking out all these soldiers. And I thought that was cool. I was really hoping like one of their like things would get ripped off and they'd have a lucha mask on. That was like my only, I was like, are we going to see like the PJ Black luchadors that have been like
Those guys show
the
up in
rascals that have
everything.
been in everything? Like, I was just waiting for like the turn to get ripped off and him to have like a lucha mask on.
Well, they showed up. They showed up in Marty the Moth and Mariposa
Yeah.
segment last week, right?
Yeah.
Those guys just like it's just a whole world filled with those guys.
They're like putties.
Like those are exactly. Those are the Lucha Underground NPCs, and there's just clones of them everywhere, and they just kind of spawn randomly, even after you kill one of them. Whether it's in a bar where Tejano is swinging a bull rope around, or whether PJ Black is chasing people on motorcycles to seedy motels.
Doesn't matter. They're everywhere.
Those guys are everywhere. So they very well may have been, you know, Middle Eastern terrorists getting shot up by Killshot.
was great.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
Really. But some really beautiful choreography in,
Yeah,
in,
it
that,
was
in
really
those
good.
scenes as well. Yeah. Very, I mean, you know, obviously that's part of the character, but I think it's a testament also to Shane Strickland, the fact that he can pull off such fluid motions and really lend himself to the Killshot character.
I would love to see him and Angelico go at it.
Absolutely.
They
Very
both had-
very similar body types. Yeah.
That's why I think they could tear it up, just like knee versus strike.
We'll get a new version of that giant jump off the top of the office.
Oh,
Right,
wow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, so
Double
good.
cross bodies from across the temple.
It's just it's that spot where two guys do the crossbody to each other. Only
It's
it's,
just
off
like-
of giant
and
ledges.
they land in the ring.
Or they go after whatever title's on the middle of the ladder match,
Mm-hmm.
and they both latch on and end up pulling it off of it. I don't know. I'm going.
I like
off
it.
line.
I like it.
I like where your head's at, Mark. You're a scholar and a gentleman. Don't ever let anyone tell you different.
You know? You know what you should do, Mark? You should call 423 Get Fame.
Oh man,
Because-
look at that segue.
Look at that
You'd be
transition.
famous.
Look at that. Because speaking of awesome vignettes, we get another glimpse at Famous B, and we're finally
In that white suit.
we finally see him
Oh, man.
the pure white suit. We finally see him outside of commercials, outside of the temple. You know, he's he's actually full on scouting people.
Mm-hmm.
He goes up to Masquerita Sagrada and gives him his card. I mean,
course.
really, it's kind of as simple as that. That's really all he needs to do. He gives him his card, tells him to call that number, says, "I can make you famous." Amazing.
And he does his little hop as he walks
that
away.
hop, that
was
hop
great.
as he walks away is incredible. And we get like this little scene transition, and it's very kind of Tarantino-esque.
Yeah,
sort of.
I was expecting it to go into like a whole different segment, but they're still in the locker of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He like and he walks like right past Lily and
Right-
Sexy Star.
right
He
past
wasn't
Lily.
like I'm watching you too or
Nope.
anything. I was just like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
like, what
exactly.
happened?
And interestingly enough, yeah, sure, Mark. Now, interestingly enough, one of the other transitions that we had seen also involved Famous B.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we saw that commercial, and we kind of zoomed out into the Rey Mysterio Dragon Azteca dojo.
You know,
So-
really quick, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if we can get this show famous. I'm gonna give Famous B a quick call. See what we can do. Let's see what we got.
Let's see if we can get
Thank you
famous.
for calling 423 Get Fame. That's 423 Get Fame to talk to me, Famous B. Leave me a message and tell me why you think you've got what it takes to be my next client.
Let's do
And
this,
maybe, just maybe, I'll be in touch to make you famous like me, Famous B.
Oh man.
Famous B, this is the official Lucha Underground after show on AfterBuzz TV. You're talking to Ty Matthews and James Franck. We want to be famous, so we want you to call us back at your earliest convenience, or we would even love to be graced by your presence in our studio. So come talk to us. Let us know how we can be famous.
Get fame.
And that's that.
Love it.
All right, let's see what we hear from him, gentlemen. Please continue.
We can hope for the best.
Oh, so good. We just get all these transitions. But speaking of that, we transition right into Willie Mack and Sexy Star. And, you know, he's trying to get her to come out because he says that scumbag Dario Cueto has put him in a trio with Marty the Moth and Mariposa. What a weasel that is.
The slimy
But
Dario Cueto.
as much as Sexy Star hates those two, she is still a little too shooken up, will not come out and give him moral support. And he says, all right, but, you know, they're going to need to be held accountable, basically.
And then what do we get? What we always need? Curls. She
Curls.
gets pissed and she just starts hitting curls, dude.
Guys,
She's just like,
This was such a quintessential episode of Lucha Underground because we saw stuff going down in the men's room and we saw people getting their curl on.
Yeah.
That's what we need
Jared
from every
Gilkerson would be
episode.
so happy right now.
Just curls and heavy curls.
Yeah, that was
I
like,
mean,
there's
she
a lot of
was-
weight on that
She
bar.
was putting it up, guys.
No chick push-ups for her.
No. Oh man, but she's getting those flashbacks. She's got kind of that PTSD going of whatever it was that Marty the Moth and Mariposa did to her in their rich upper class suburbs. You know, so who
Very
knows?
dandy-esque.
It is very dandy-esque. I was just thinking about that today. But
And then there's like the quick video of just like Rey tagging the sign, right?
yeah, which Mark brought up a good point that I didn't even think about until he brought it up. But that kind of functioned as his bat signal.
I think
Yes.
I think that was Dragon Azteca summoning Rey with the question mark as a
that's so
form
great.
of bat signal.
It's pretty genius, especially considering the fact that he did show up wearing his Batman-esque cowl with the ears and everything.
Yes, totally. Oh man.
Mark, you're onto something,
What happens if you need Batman during the day?
right? You
Hopefully, you're looking at the right spot.
you have to get an airplane to do skywriting, but it takes a way longer.
Yeah, because it's not just straight lines, that bat signal.
You gotta. It's a lot more expensive during the day, really. Like you just gotta kind of hope that no funny business is happening in the sunlight. You gotta kind of wait until darkness falls.
That's Superman's time, you know? And he could just hear that biz,
That's
you know?
what it is. That's what it is. Superman, you get the day. Bruce will get the night. We're all good. Otherwise, signals get crossed. And
Worlds colliding.
Who knows? Who knows what's happening? But let's get into some trios action. We've got the Crew and Joey Ryan taking on Marty the Moth, Mariposa, and the Mac. And I love this match because there are so many stories being told all at once. There's this kind of underground subterfuge happening with Officer Meehan and Officer Reyes, and then there's just the straight up trios tournament, but then there's also the Mac and wanting to get revenge on Marty the Moth and Mariposa, and then there's their weird sibling relationship.
Yeah.
Like so much is happening all in this one match.
Lots of layers.
Right. And even just on the surface, it's just a great match.
Yeah. I love how before I think the match is like getting started and they're like coming out and who is it? I think Vampiro is either Vampiro. Yeah, Vampiro is like, oh, you know, Dario Cueto making this match. He's just so sick and twisted. And then Matt Stryker's like, Dario's sick and twisted and hasn't been proven in a court of law yet. You know, and I was just like, oh,
they're all
that still ties
allegations.
back into the whole like Joey Ryan trying to catch him and bring him to court and bring him
Exactly.
to justice. I was like, oh, it's such a great line.
Allegedly. And I love that we're kind of seeing the more technico side of the Crew. You know, they mentioned now that they've kind of turned their back on Chavo Guerrero and split away from him, it seems like they're more on the technico side, and we saw some amazing lucha between Mr. Cisco and the Mac.
They shake hands, show respect, and then they tear it up with gnarly lucha stuff.
Just straight up lucha
Get everybody
style.
on their feet.
Exactly.
Standing ovation.
Because guys, if you don't know this, Mr. Cisco and the Mac actually trained together when the Mac very first started around, I'd say maybe 04, 05, something like that. WPW in Orange County at the Anaheim Marketplace.
He was a little cholo back then.
He was a little cholo. I love it. They were, they came up together, so that's why they're their chemistry works so well together, and that's why the Mac is so deceptively good at Lucha Libre, because that was his kind of original form that he was trained in.
I wrote in my notes, Willie blows minds with lucha spots.
Exactly, that's exactly right. But it was good to see some straight up sportsmanship, straight up Lucha Libre. And then, of course, Joey tags in and immediately demands that the girl come in there with him.
What a creeper.
Tries to offer her his lollipop after he's rubbed it all over his oily chest hair. Just awful.
God, Joey's gross.
Gross.
Like the best possible way.
Exactly, yeah. She responds with a slap to the face. He responds with a pie face. And then we're full on in the mix. We see an awesome axe kick from Mariposa. And really, later on in the match, we see an amazing kick combo from the crew, Gamagiri from Cortez, and just that sliding face wash from Mr. Cisco.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Gnarly
demolishing
drop kick.
the face. Yeah, exactly.
Face eraser drop kick.
But it's so good. So, like I said, so much is happening in this match. What else did you notice about this match, Jimbo?
Oh, man. I loved Cortez's, like, swing in the ring DDT. That was really good.
Definitely.
Willie's classic Samoan drop, moonsault. I don't know what... I was trying to think, like, what they would call it there.
Right,
like
exactly.
the return of the Mac or something? Or
That's
like
actually... I like that.
Something.
I'll never forget the very first time I saw him do that. If you guys don't know, Willie Mack does a Samoan drop straight into a kip up, straight into a standing moonsault, and for someone the size and build of Willie Mack, it's absolutely gorgeous to see.
I loved how Marty the Moth did like something simple, like just like smash his head into the turnbuckle, but then didn't let it go. Turn him around and hit him with like a nasty T-bone into the corner.
Into the buckles, right?
Oh,
And
so bad.
Not the last buckle suplex that we would
No.
see on this
Oh,
episode.
man.
But yeah, that was absolutely... And I think I mentioned this during Aztec Warfare, but Marty the Moth is deceptively big.
Yeah.
So the stuff he's doing just comes off really, really powerfully.
I like the call of the calling Willie the Lucha Ron Funches.
Yes.
And there
Ron
he is in the
Funches
front
in the
row.
front
Ron
row.
Funches in the front
And
row.
I also liked the little story bit of Willie getting frustrated and just doing the dive on everybody
Oh, yeah, that was
instead
great.
of just the other team.
Well, so, okay, yeah, let's talk about that spot. He goes for the dive first. Mariposa stops him just to be weird and creepy on the apron. And he just...
Kicks her.
He doesn't even kick her. He just gently shoves her off the apron with his foot. She falls backwards onto everyone. And then he decides, screw it, and just dives on everybody. It's amazing.
I also loved how like Marty tries to blind tag Willie with a back chop. Wrong.
Exactly.
So wrong.
It's so
And then
wrong.
you could see them like exchanging chops for tags.
Right.
And you could see like Marty like, and Willie's like, bam, hit me harder. Bam, hit me harder. And then he does like lift your chin because I'm really gonna nail
Right,
you.
exactly. Willie's got
Let me
these,
not
like,
get you in the throat. Let me just make sure I nail your chest.
Willie's got these frying pan hands that can just like, he chops you and you feel it in your back.
Yeah.
Like it's so painful. But yeah, we see the blind tag from Marty the Moth. They kind of go at it with these chops. Eventually, Willie just drops a straight up F-bomb, says F you, hits him with a stunner, and Joey's right there to pick up the scraps and pick up the win for the 1, 2, 3.
He did it all on his own.
All by himself. And
I did it!
I love that celebration after the match. All by himself.
Does the crew have a name for their finisher yet? That like flapjack facebuster
into the kind of no, I don't think they
need a
do.
name for that.
I think we saw, I think we might have seen the revival using that over in NXT, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like
Riding dirty.
Exactly. I like that. Yeah, just the 3D into that kind of lung blower. But yeah, we see the crew and Joey advance in this trios tournament.
Mariposa's not happy. They lost.
Mariposa's not happy. She attacks Willie Mack, and that brings out Sexy Star, who just snaps. At first they tease this power that Mariposa holds over Sexy Star, and they tease it a little bit, but Sexy Star finally snaps and just beats the holy hell out
She was
of her.
borderline Ken Shamrock.
Right, exactly. Get out of my way! She just needed the side belly and the ankle lock. Because she was just stomping her and just like standing on her. It was very good stuff. Very good stuff. Next, we see Rey Mysterio and Dragon Azteca Jr. And Rey can tell that Dragon Azteca Jr. wants to get revenge on Matanza, but he drops a little bit of truth. Rey keeps it 100 and says, you got your ass whooped in Aztec Warfare. Paraphrasing. So,
That's pretty close.
maybe, it was kind of close. So, maybe wait on the revenge thing. He says, fight for the pride of our tribe. Fight for honor. not for revenge. You know, that'll come with time. But that's not all. He's also got some good news in the form of Rey Mysterio and Dragon Azteca Jr. being entered into the Trios tournament with their third man, Prince Puma.
And we finally hear Puma talk, which
Yes.
I did not like at all. I was really hoping he would just like have like panther
snarl,
growls.
dude.
Yeah,
Just
dude.
totally snarl.
Just
Right.
growl.
Exactly.
We know your Foley department is great. You know,
Right, right.
come on, give him like some cool cat noises. Don't let him talk.
From Boyle Heights.
You really sound like you're from Kentucky.
By way of Paducah, Kentucky, exactly. But let's get into our main event, y'all. Let's get into, for the Lucha Underground Championship, we've got the monster Matanza Cueto defending against Phoenix.
And we find out Matanza means slaughter.
Matanza means slaughter, which
is genius.
It's so fitting because look at his coveralls, look at his mask, look at the damage that he does in the ring.
How did his parents know? Like, popping out of the womb, he's like, oh, Matanza. That's going to be a killer one day. My
Yeah.
little killer, my little Matanza.
Maybe
Well,
that's
maybe
what he
it-
did to her vagina.
Maybe
when he
it's
came out.
oh god, Jimbo.
Oh, Jimbo!
You know what? Maybe it's a nickname. Maybe his real name is Gregory.
Gregory Cueto.
Gregory Cueto, the monster. Matanza to his friends. Who knows? Guys, what do you think Matanza's real name is? Tweet us at AfterBuzz TV. Just apropos of nothing. I love
Just all
it.
put together.
So good. But let's talk about this match because we keep seeing this theme continuing of Matanza just wrecking everyone in his path. Like, it doesn't even look like anyone can do anything to affect him. But let's talk about this German into the buckles. At one point, Phoenix is kind of getting over on him. He's hitting a couple of these head kicks and just really laying him in beautifully. Makes the fatal mistake of turning his back to Matanza, goes to run out of the corner. Matanza says,
here.
nope. Pulls him in, and not only Germans him into the buckles,
Release German.
but just release German, and he lands so perfectly right against that middle turnbuckle. I mean, it's a nasty bump, but it's so beautiful.
It was very
at the
graceful.
same time. Exactly.
It's very pretty.
Like, even in taking a bump, Phoenix is just beautiful.
Exactly. Also, that pounce that we saw, that kind of pounce.
I wrote that. It was like a standing pounce.
Exactly.
He didn't even he just stood there.
And Phoenix
never
flew
seen anyone
on
do
bump.
that. Like,
Just absolutely
step up your game,
flew.
Monty Brown.
I mean, exactly. But I mean, just everything that Matanza did in this match, from the German into the buckles,
Just face bouncing his head on the mat like it was a basketball.
exactly,
just, slamming his
exactly.
face.
Even the tilting German, it was
That was
such
so gnarly. I've never seen something like
exactly. It's such an interesting twist to a move that we've seen so much, especially in the last year or two, that it really adds that much more to it.
that. I didn't know what he was gonna do. I thought he was gonna twist him and then twist him the other way, and then twist him the other way, and then just throw him behind him and just be like, huh.
Right, exactly. It'd be like a super move out of Injustice. Did you ever
Yeah.
play Injustice? Just he throws him through the moon. Just throws him through the moon. But everything about this is awesome. I feel like seeing Matanza, and because people haven't really been familiar with the competitor that plays Matanza, and so it creates this whole new realm of dream matches.
This is something that Christian Cole brought up last week of just Lucha Underground has made a monster and a star out of somebody that a month ago no one had ever seen or heard of.
That's
and
exactly
now
right.
Everybody is buzzing about who is this guy.
That's exactly right. You can't, every single person that's watching Lucha Underground is imagining a potential match in some universe between Matanza and Brock Lesnar.
Oh my god.
I mean, it creates so many possibilities that who knows
What kind of match would that be,
we
Mark?
may or may not see. Yeah, what kind of match would that be, Mark? So good. But just absolutely amazing. We see Phoenix go for a suicide dive. Matanza catches him, gives him a power slam on the outside, throws him in the ring, hits him with the Wrath of the Gods for the 1-2-3.
That dive was legit. It wasn't
Yeah.
even okay, I'm gonna slow down because I know he's gonna catch me.
Exactly.
He almost
catch me, fool.
Yeah, he almost King Cuerno arrow
Man.
of death.
I'm just imagining, if Cuerno went for the arrow and then he just caught him right into the Wrath of the Gods.
That's gonna
man.
happen, dude. Really quickly, Paul Cross in chat
Yes.
mentioned of Phoenix, the man of 978 lives.
That's exactly right. They're just slowly, one by one, they're dropping.
Oh man.
But yeah, we see Matanza gets the win, but I love this kind of new manager version of Dario
I was gonna
Cueto.
say Dario is just like coaching him the entire time.
There we go.
Remember, mom.
Yeah,
Remember, Mom.
Calling for blood with sangre, sangre.
Sangre. I love him threatening the referee.
I'll fire you.
fire
You will not work here tomorrow.
Your last day on the job. He's so good. Dario Cueto is just like absolutely the most fun to watch. But Matanza's not done after the match. He keeps attacking Phoenix with these just reckless clubbing off forearms. Then we see Katrina from the top of the steps of the temple screaming,
Stop!
I like the Katrina lighting. She's screaming to stop. No one's really sure what's going on. Matanza's confused. But of course, from behind is Mil Muertes. And we see the one thing that Matanza might be vulnerable to. And it's that straight friggin' right hand from Mil Muertes.
Deadly.
It's unbelievable. I love the parallels here. I love the fact that there's... On one side, there's Dario, and there's Matanza, and there's the Key. And then on the other side, there's Katrina, and there's Mil, and there's The Rock. And they're... Not The Rock, but, A Rock.
The gatekeeper versus the keymaster.
The stone.
There you go. The stone.
That's better. That's better.
Much better.
No, Jimbo's was better.
But I love that, there are these parallels of these dark forces on either side that are, I feel like anywhere else you would think that they would tease this for a long, long time without pulling the trigger. But with something like Lucha Underground, you don't necessarily know how much time you have left. So you kind of have to pull the trigger on something like this right away.
And they have like so many triggers to pull. Because it's
Exactly.
like, okay, so this happens this week. Well, next week it could be Pentagon Jr.
Right.
Or next week it could be Puma. Or it could be like, you never know.
Right.
Like, you never know.
And then we get that kind of added layer of, Mil Muertes kind of inadvertently saving his blood rival, Phoenix.
And then, like, did you notice that, like, because, like, I would say that this match was a death of Phoenix, pretty much.
Sure.
And that, like, while Katrina's raising the stone, Phoenix starts to get up again.
Interesting.
So
okay.
I'm like, oh, what if, like, she just brought him back now? And, like, now he's like, okay, you saved my life, so now I owe you until, like, I die again. I'll be indebted to you.
That's a very good call.
Like, I was just like, oh.
Actually, it's speaking of that, since we're kind of wrapping up, let's get to my favorite part of the show. Let's get into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So
You
good.
missed that last week, huh?
I really missed it. I can't go longer than 7 days without some theremin in my life, guys, is what I'm saying. But yeah, let's get into this. Let's get into this kind of theory of, because I noticed that there was a moment between Katrina and Phoenix, and I had kind of chalked that up to them having this sort of romantic past. They were briefly kind of a unit at one point before she resurrected this even more powerful Mil Muertes. But I love that you noticed that, because I didn't even think about that. The fact that stone could potentially hold power over other people, not just, Mil Muertes or the Disciples of Death. That could potentially resurrect the Man of 1,000 Lives. So where do you think this is going? If Phoenix does feel like he's kind of indebted to them, where do we think this goes?
I think he might like be the sacrifice so that Mil can win the title back.
Interesting. Okay.
Like he has to take like tons of beatings and wraths of the gods and like runs to save Mil and pretty much like takes the bullet for Mil,
right?
And then Mil gets the win.
It's one of those things where it's kind of the devil is better than the devil you don't.
And everyone's a devil in this
better,
show.
Exactly. It's better to have Katrina and Mil running roughshod over the temple, because at least Mil is sort of vulnerable. Whereas if it's Dario and Matanza, everyone's pretty much boned.
Yeah.
From Jump Street, really.
To imagine that Mil Muertes is our last hope to save the temple from this monster completely changes the game.
So good.
Yes, it does.
And we're 11 episodes into this season.
Oh, yeah. And he said what? They got 24, right?
26?
26, but the last one's a 2-hour special,
Yeah.
right? So
Imagine what we've got in store for Ultima Lucha 2. Oh, man. I think what I would love to see happen, and I'm not sure how feasible it is, but, this is just my fun, going out on a limb, just swinging for the fences, fantasy booking. I would love to see a kind of a mixed tag with Mil Muertes and Katrina, and maybe Phoenix versus Matanza, Dario Cueto, and maybe King Cuerno?
Maybe he uses Vampiro.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, Mark. You slay me.
Wonder.
Amazing.
I was gonna
Yes.
say, I wonder if there's any like new faces we're gonna see throughout the season.
Over the course of the season?
Yeah.
Could be. Very well could be.
I'm not hoping for new people, but I'm curious to see like what's gonna happen. Because like you bringing that up made me think of like, oh, they need a chick.
Right.
Like, who would be their chick?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we're what I guess a third of the way through the season, maybe almost getting to the halfway point. So who knows? We could see familiar faces. We could see brand new faces.
What if we see Mother before the end of the season? Because Dario was like, remember Mother. What if we see some version of Mrs. Cueto?
Well, she's dead.
Like a ghost?
Yeah, like a ghost.
What?
Dude, nothing is off
Nothing
the table
is off
for this
limits.
True.
damn show.
This is true.
What
We,
if,
we,
like maybe she died really young, so we get like a specter, like Scorpion, and it's another luchadora,
interesting.
but it's just their dead mom.
Because we do know that Matanza bashed her brains in with that
With
bull
that red
statue
bull that he still keeps on his desk.
that he keeps on his desk, along with a name placard that says "I'm kind of a big deal."
Yeah.
Or maybe Black Lotus.
We talked about
Oh,
that.
there you go.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about Black Lotus. See, Mark, you're a thinker.
That was Luke Plea in the chat, actually.
Oh, well, then he's a thinker.
Damn right he is.
You are a thinker, Luke.
Look at him. Look at him, the thinker. Oh, somebody,
thinker
Eon
or
Izzle
the
in Twitter on the chat. What if Katrina is the Cueto's mother?
I was wondering about that. You know, you think of ghosts, and obviously you think of Katrina.
And that portrait.
Oh my God.
The
That
ghost
old
portrait.
Oh my God! What the hell?
The ghost portrait.
We need to Joseph back on like now.
Yeah.
Oh man. So
Yeah, we were
many-
gonna have Carly in studio today, but she had some things to rule in the underworld.
Heartbreaking. But she'll be back soon.
She'll be back soon.
We've got some other guests on the pipeline, so we've got some good stuff coming, guys. Be sure to stay tuned. But for now, Jimbo, where can they find you? And please plug that beautiful DVD
I'll
in
plug
front
this Young Bucks documentary that I worked so hard on to tell the stories of these gentlemen. But you could find me on Twitter at the Jimbo Slice, TheeJimboslice. The Jimbo Slice with 2 E's, and that's the Jimbo Slice with 2 E's.
There you go. Remember the 2 E's, guys. It's very important. As always, you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Ty Matthews PMA. If you're watching the video, it should be down in that beautiful lower third right there. Remember, if you're on iTunes, download, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. 5 stars if you're nasty. It helps. On YouTube, leave us a thumbs up, a comment. We want to hear from you. We love talking about Lucha Underground. We know you do, so let's talk about it all together. You can also find me on various other after shows, including Monday Night Raw and The Magicians. The Magicians, I believe, is the season finale this coming Monday, so that'll
That's
be
correct,
exciting
Ty.
too.
Also,
Oh,
don't forget about Coastline Clash.
yes, Coastline Clash, guys. If you're in the mood for some free pro wrestling, which I know you are, come out this Sunday, April 10th, to the Ocean View Pavilion in Port Hueneme for some free pro wrestling. It's our big quarterly event. Think of it like a pay-per-view, only it's free. So it's the best of both worlds.
A free per-view.
A free per-view, exactly. Come out, 3 p.m., up in Port Hueneme. You'll see amazing, amazing stuff. You'll see me. You'll see Big Nasty Eric Watts. You'll see James Morgan, the main event. You'll see Vermin. All of these amazing,
Hobo
amazing
and
superstars.
Jervis Cottonbelly.
Hobo and Jervis Cottonbelly taking on Cold World, I believe.
For the Tag Team Championships.
For the Tag Team Championships.
I ain't playing that.
I know. It's too late. But it's amazing stuff. So be sure to come out. If you can't come out live, be sure to tune in Saturday afternoons, 4 p.m. on KDOC locally, U2 America nationally, because it's awesome wrestling. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Coastline Clash. Whew. Well, that is it, guys. Please join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel, where we'll be talking Season 2, Episode 12 of Lucha Underground. But until then, viva la lucha!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.